Hi guys, I hope you are doing well. In this session, we will learn or understand how we can use Python exception handling and how we can use the try, except, else, and finally concept. So guys, to fight with errors in the programming is very common part of every programmer, right? To learn any programming is the best part to play with the errors. And really, errors are the best teacher for us. Okay. So guys, in Python programming, to handle the errors is the very easy because Python has a good number of built-in exception to catch the errors. Okay. In different programming, you will use like try and catch. So we do not have catch in the Python programming. In place of catch, we have except. Okay. So guys, sometimes most of the beginner programmer annoyed when they are facing error while running the code. But errors are part of every programmer's life. Nobody can learn the programming without facing an errors. Okay. So guys, in this session, we will discuss exception handling in greater details. So let me go to the Jupyter notebook. So for an example, let's say if I'm going to divide any of the number by the zero, so I will have this kind of errors. Okay, so first of all, let me show you what are the top most common exception in Python. So guys, these are most common exception in Python. You will have syntax error, value error, name error, and type, index, memory, import, and key error, and file not found error. You can find also some of the error apart from these, but these are most common exception. So let me go to the Jupyter notebook once again, and let me show you the other common type of errors. For an example, let's say if you are printing something, thanks for watching. Okay, and you are forget this particular codes, then what will happen? You will have a syntax error. Okay, it means you are writing something is wrong. Okay, or let's say I'm going to define a variable which is a equal to 10, and what I'm doing, I'm going to add something into my variable which is a, so which is not possible. So you will have the type error. Okay, so these are what, these are the errors, or you can say that these are the exception. If I'm going to import any other module which is not present or which is not available in Python, okay, so import error means when you have not installed the module or that module is not available. Okay, so you will have module not found error. And sometimes, let's say when you are defining a variable which is a equal to anything, let's say test, and you are going to convert that particular string into the numbers, fine, then what will happen? You will have the value error. Value error means when you are going to convert the variable type into a different data type. Okay, so here let's say we are going to convert test variable which is a string, and I'm going to convert this variable into the integer, which is not possible. Okay, so in that type of scenario we will have the value error, right? I'm going to define a variable which is list, and list of Python. Now I'm going to print the variable. Okay, so in case from this list data structure, if I'm going to access the seventh of character or seventh of the index, what will happen? It will give me an error, index error, right? Which is list index out of range. This one. Or let me give you another example based on the dictionary. For an example, I'm going to define a dictionary, which is anything you can type here. Let's say this one. Okay. And now I'm going to print my D. And here print D of, let's say this one. So what will happen? Means this key does not exist in your dictionary, then you will have a key error. Okay, and let's take another example. So print 1 plus 1. What will happen? So this is name error. When your variable is not storing any value or your variable is not defined. Okay, so what is the print? Print is not a inbuilt function, it's just a variable. So you will have an error. Print variable is not defined. Okay, so guys, now the question is how you can handle the errors and what are those. So let me print dir. So these are the built-ins, this one. Okay, so these are your error types. Now I'm going to tell you how you can handle the exception handling in your program. So I'm going to import a module which is import sys. Okay, now I'm going to take a list, let's say lst equal to 10 and anything I'm going to taking here 25, and let's say this one. Okay. So guys, what do you mean by try, catch, and exception handling? So guys, how you can use Python exception handling? So Python has built-in exception which force your program to output an error when something it goes wrong. When these exception occur, it causes the current process to stop and pass it to the calling function, or you can say that calling process. Now I'm going to give an example based on how you can catch exception in Python. Okay. Now I'm going to give an example based on exception. So for entry in LST. And now I'm going to use the try. What I'm going to try, I want to print all the entry from the list. Entry. Okay. Now each of the entry from the list, I'm going to divide by the that particular entry, which is this one. And here I'm using the except. Let's say print. I'm going to write something. Info. And here I'm going to access this one. Or let's say occurred. And now print next entry, this one. And the last, I'm going to type the reciprocal of entry is R. Okay. So guys, let me run this. So see what is happening here. So we have 10, then I can easily divide 1 by the 10, right? And it's the 14, which is a string, then I can easily convert into the integer. And the same for 25. But when I'm getting the value, which is B, which is not possible to convert into the integer. That's why I'm getting the error, oops, class error, which is value error. After that, I'm going to have the next entry. Next entry, which is 0.5. Then after that, I'm going to taking the reciprocal of the last element of the list. Okay. So here, try to understand what is happening. So here on this line, so when you are getting any of the error in the try block, that particular error easily catch by the except clause. Okay. So guys, in this example, we did not mention any exception in the except clause. This is not a good programming practice, as it will catch all exception and handle every case in the same way. We can specify which exception an except clause will catch. But here, whatever the exception I'm getting in the try block, all the exception will catch by the except block in the same way. Okay. A try clause can have any number of the except clause to handle them differently, but one will be executed in case an exception occurs. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you how you can write the same program in a different manner. So let's say for I in list and try. I'm going to try, let's say something and print the entry is, which is I, and R equal to this one. So the same thing I'm going to write once again. Now in the except, I'm going to type the value error and print this is a value error. And once again, except, and here let's say 0 division error. And here I can type this is a 0 division error, and except print something went wrong. And at the last, we can define the same message which we have defined here, this one. Now let me run this. See. So the entry is B. This is the value error. We cannot convert the string into the integer. And here the entry is 0.5. This is a 0 division error. We cannot divide the 0.5 by the 0. So guys, we can handle the separate error in the different way. The another concept is raising exception. So guys, in Python programming, exception are raised when corresponding errors occur at runtime, but we can forcefully raise it using the keyword raise. We can also optionally pass in value to the exception to clarify why that exception was raised. Let's say I'm giving you an example. So which is raise keyword. Using the raise keyword, we can raise an exception forcefully and try. So for an example, I have a 8 GB of RAM in my system, but I don't want to use more than 2 GB of RAM. Then I can raise the error with the help of raise keyword. I'm giving example. So try, which is number equal to int and input. And I'm going to type here, enter a positive value. And here, if that number is less than equal to 0, then raise value error, entered negative number. So remember, here I am raising an error myself, right? In the except clause. So we can type, let's say, value error. Let me caps V as E. So print E here. So 5, which is fine. If I am, let's say, -5, so error, entered negative numbers. Okay, so here I raised value error by the users. So now guys, let's understand finally clause. Okay, so try finally. Suppose you are reading a file in your program. How do you ensure that file object is closed properly or not? So this can be done using the finally block. So we have seen try means, let me write here. So try means, let's say this is the block to attempted or may lead to an error, right? And if I am talking about except, so that block of code will execute in case there is an error in try block. Okay, and now I am going to move the finally. Let's say finally. So finally means a finally block of code to be executed regardless of an error. Okay, so these things you need to remember. Fine. Now let me give you an example. So let's say DEF, enter a number. This one. Okay, so here I'm going to use the while loop, while equal to true. Okay, so now try. So let's say I'm taking a variable which is result and input. Please provide a number. Okay, and here the except clause, print oh, this is not a number. So here what is happening? So once you will not provide the number, then try block will raise an exception. That exception will catch by the except block. Okay, after that what I'm doing, I am doing the continuing my program. And here I am using the else as well. So we can use the else as well in the try and except clause. Now let's say print, let's say yes, thank you. And I can break my program. After that, finally, so print end of try, except, and finally. And I will always run at the end. Okay, now let me execute this particular function. And I'm going to enter this one. So please provide a number. Let's say I'm going to provide the 10. So yes, thank you. So end of try and accept, and finally and I will always run at the end. Once again, I'm going to run this particular program, and here I'm going to provide, let's say, H. Oh, this is not a number. Okay, so that's why we have error on this line. So try block will pass that exception into the except clause. In the except clause, what we are doing, I'm going to print that particular message. After that, I'm going to continue my program. Then once again, you need to provide a number. So once you provide that number correctly, then except block will never run. Why? Because try will not raise any type of exception. Okay. And guys, at the last, I'm going to give another example. This is very useful example for handling the exception handling. Once you understand this example completely, then you will have more confidence about the exception handling. So here, I'm going to import few of the library, which is import OS and socket. And from date time, I'm going to import date time. Fine. So here I'm going to define some of the variable, let's say list of errors, and username and time. And here I'm going to define a function which is def enter age. So if your age is less than 0, then I'm going to raise the error, which is value error. Means only positive integers are allowed. Now, list of errors dot append, and I'm going to append my error, value error, and here I can specify this particular string, this one. Okay. And after that, how we can append the username? So simple username dot append. So using the os dot get login, we can find the username. And here now equal to date time dot now. And I'm going to convert my date time as well. So det, which is a string, equal to now dot strf time %d %m %y. And in case you want to time, then you can also define for the time as well. So this is nothing. This is the formatting string as we have seen in the past session. And after that, let's say time dot append, we can use date string. Fine. Now let's say in case if I'm getting my age, which is even, then age is even. Okay. And else parent age is odd. Okay. And after that, I'm going to have another try and clause. So try, what I'm going to try, let's say I am taking a number once again from the user, and let's say input, enter your age. Okay. Then enter age, and this is the number. So I have done this particular function. Now this function, I am going to use the try clause and accept, let's say value error. So print only positive integers are allowed. And the same thing I'm going to have. This one. Okay. And once again, we can have another except and print something is wrong. I know this is a little bit long program, but it will really help you to understand the exception handling. And after that, we can have host name as well. Host name equal to socket, then get host name. And IP address, we can also find socket dot get host by name and host name. And I'm going to print. In case you have error, then we can find all the information who is doing wrong. So username, and print. After that, I can have the time as well. So time, and what are those errors? Error name, so which is list of errors, and print IP address. So let me run this. So enter your age. In case you are going to have the correct age, which is positive, let's say 10 years. Okay, so it has to be only get host name. So let me do one thing. Let me copy this one. So this is the particular function. Now I'm going to run this. So let's say 10. So here I'm getting the age is even. Okay. But in case, let's say this is that my particular function which I'm calling. And here, if I'm going to print, say 30, and let me execute this also. So there is no username and time and errors name. Here I have only the IP address. Now I am going to run once again, see what will happen. If I am going to have, let's say 10, now something is wrong because you cannot add any string in your integer value. That's why we have errors, which is something is wrong. Now, if I'm going to print this detail, then you can find the username, that particular time, and what was the error, what was the IP address. So using this method, you can find all the useful information when you are getting the errors or when you are doing something is wrong. So guys, as we have seen in this session, how we can use try, except, and finally. So listen to carefully. A try can have multiple except clause, but that except clause will run when the try having an error. In case the try is not having the error, that particular except will never run. So all the except clause will depend upon your try clause. Okay. So guys, in this session, we have discussed the uses of try, except, finally statement. And we have seen how to create our own exception types and how to raise exception as well. So guys, do the practice. That will really help you a lot in terms of understanding the concept of exception handling. In case do you have any question on that, so please post your question in the comment below and definitely I will help you out on that. So guys, thanks for watching and have a great day.